Hello, friend. Who is excited to learn how to watercolor on a canvas? All right, so a couple things. First, let's talk about supplies. You need a canvas. This is a regular little canvas that you get from Michael's. It's usually used for acrylic and oil because if you try and just paint watercolor on a canvas, it won't stick because it's primed for oil or acrylic paint. And if you've ever worked with watercolor before, you know that you need like a texture for the paint to sort of stick to. And so I love working on canvas because it's super convenient to have these larger scale paintings, and you don't have to worry about getting a frame for it or like the paper size getting into a frame and blah 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 blah. It can be a little redundant. So I decided to see what it was like to paint on canvas, and I'm obsessed. I'm going to share with you how we do the thing. So, like I said, we need canvas. We need some watercolor ground. I use Daniel Smith Artist Material watercolor ground because I know the brand. I know that they are ethical, and I know it is good quality, but I also know there are other brands out there. But for our purposes, we're sticking with Daniel Smith. You also need a foam brush. Towards the end of priming my canvas, I decided to use a bigger foam brush. Don't do that. It made a mess. A 1-inch foam brush, perfect. I would get 2 because you're going to put a lot of coats on the canvas, and we want to make sure that our foam brush doesn't start to disintegrate, which mine did halfway through, which is why I needed to switch to the other one. And let's see, you need watercolor and watercolor brushes. I'm not going to show you the whole part where I'm like doing the painting and the thing, but if you do want to see or want a tutorial on how to make some watercolor clouds and how I made this little grass field, comment below, because then I can make you a follow-up tutorial. But this one is focused on just priming our canvas and getting it ready for watercolor. Okay. All right, let's take a deep breath. A lot of introduction. Okay, so now that we have our supplies, we have our canvas, we have our Daniel Smith watercolor ground, we have our 2 foam brushes, and we have our watercolor. We're also going to need to prep and plan ahead of time because this ground takes a day to dry. It's not just a day to dry, it's a day to dry between each layer. And it's recommended that you use multiple layers to make it so that the surface that we're using is more absorbent. And what's kind of cool about this ground is you can use it on other things besides just canvas. So if you want to start watercoloring on wood panels or other surfaces that you wouldn't normally be able to watercolor on, this ground will make it so that you can. So it's definitely a fun investment to check out and just play with, because like now I want to see all the things that we can watercolor on, don't you? Yeah? Okay, so we need at least 24-hour drying time between each of the layers. I'm going to do 4, but my 4 is really going to be like 8 because I tend to do 2 layers on one. You'll see it's mostly just to get rid of the lines from the foam brush, and to make sure that, you know, a good solid layer is on there. But I'll go all one direction, and then like all up and down, and then all side to side, and then wait 24 hours, and then do it again, and then do it again, and then do it again. Did I say that 4 times? Did I say that 3 times? Anyway, so that's basically it. We are layering on top of the canvas, and we're waiting 24 hours between each coat, and then we're waiting another 24 hours before we start painting. Then you get to paint watercolor on your canvas, and it's really cool. The only other thing that you do need to be careful about is protecting your piece. Remember, watercolor and gouache get reactivated when they get wet again, and canvas is nice because we don't have to worry about, you know, putting stuff in a frame, but we're also missing that protective film of glass that frames provide. And so you want to make sure that you seal your painting. And there's a number of different ways to do it. The main thing that you're going to want to look for is that your sealant isn't going to activate the water once you spray or put it on. So there's a couple of different options that are out there. I like the Krylon, I think. I'll make sure that it's linked in the blog, and this just gives your painting an extra piece of protection so that all that hard work doesn't wash away if, for whatever reason, your painting gets wet. So like I said, I'm not really going to get into the technique of what exactly the painting on the canvas, how to do it, and all of that. This tutorial is specifically on how we're prepping our watercolor canvas, or how we're prepping our canvas for watercolor. Because once you know how to do that, you can paint anything that you want on canvas or any other surface. The Pigeon Letters has so many blogs and tutorials on a ton of things to provide you inspiration. But like I said, if you really want to learn how to make some clouds, send me a message on Instagram. I'm at Theresa Hatto, and let me know what you want to see a tutorial of, because I'm here to serve you. Well, and Peggy. Well, it's mostly you, because that's what the design team is here for, is to provide you with creative inspiration. And I'm so excited that I get to. And so now that we have a primed canvas, well, we have all the tools that we need for a primed canvas for watercolor. Let's go make something fun. All right. Bye, friends.